Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana, and I am in my Beehive studio this morning. Just a quick note, I know sometimes maybe you're watching this on YouTube and you hear me talking, and I'm not live if I'm coming from YouTube, but if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't want to hear about my life and the whole preamble and you just want to get down to card making, on YouTube you have the ability just to fast forward a little bit or skim using just hovering over the timeline. So you are definitely welcome to do that. For my Facebook Live viewers, if you're joining me right now, hello everyone. I'm so happy to have you here and to have you live, and I always need a little bit of time at the beginning to have people join me, because when I start my live it takes a few minutes for notifications to happen on your Facebook screen, and it will say, hey, so-and-so's live, and it's going to take a couple minutes. So I always take the beginning and I talk a little bit, and I know some of you might prefer that I get right down to stamping, but it's basically just so that I can get people to come and join me when I'm actually starting to stamp. So bear with me if you'd rather not hear about what's going on in my life and stuff for just the first minute or two. But I'll start off by saying that today is Casing Tuesday, as many of you know. It's the day where we take a card from the catalog and give it a makeover. And I always try and choose a different stamp set to use rather than the one that with the card that we picked, just so I can show that there are different ways to use the same card. So I really like today's card. Actually, I didn't know that I would like it because it has a lot of layers to it, and generally I probably, out of the top of my head, I wouldn't stamp this style. So it was a fun card for me to do. So I'll get to that in a moment, and as you know, with Casing Tuesday, you can join us and share your cards with us, and I definitely encourage you to do that. If you want to know more about the Casing Tuesday Facebook group, there is a link in the description of this video, no matter how you're watching it. There should be a link for you to go ahead and join the page. And I just wanted to also mention I have a few more days left of my BOGO sale. That is, BOGO stands for buy one, get one. I have some of my retired products up for grabs. And so basically you get those retired products for free when you place an equal order in my Stampin' Up store. I only have one of each of my retired products. So you need to email me and reserve your items, and then I will send you your total and give you instructions on how to complete the sale for the new products, and then you pay for the shipping of the retired products from me to you, but you're getting such a fabulous deal. Some people have scored like $150 worth of my retired product with an equal order, and I'm sure they are enjoying getting double the amount of product that they would normally get for their bucks. So it's always a cool deal. That sale ends on Friday, August 24th, if you're watching this in the future, sometime 2018. So August 24th, 2018 is when my BOGO sale ends. And I only do this sale once a year because I have to but I have to bring my stuff out of storage. I store things really well, so you won't be getting anything that is wonky or anything. I really take good care of my stuff, but I store it not in my craft room, and that's good too, because it's stored out of the light. I do that with my cardstock bundles too. My cardstock is stored away from sunlight, so it's not faded, and everything like my ink pad and ink refill, they're packaged in a Ziploc bag, so they stay safe, and so everything is packaged up nicely. But I have to bring it into my craft room to do the BOGO sale. So I only do it once a year because it kind of does a little bit of upheaval in my room, and it takes time to prepare everything and ship it properly. I like to package everything well. So if you want to join me on my BOGO sale, if you click on the link below, it will also take you, to my blog post, and there's a little banner up at the top of the blog post today that will take you to my BOGO sale page. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click on that. So we should start with the Casing Tuesday card that we're doing today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you the card that we're giving a makeover to, and I'll show you my card and then I'll stamp it. If you have any questions along the way, stamping questions, even if it's not related to this particular card, please feel free to ask them. Sometimes I don't have time to do it while I'm doing the card. I miss it because the messages are scrolling by, but I always scroll back at the end and double check to see if there's anything. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can do the same. Just list me or comment and with your question and I will get to it. All right, let me turn this around. There's my view this morning. We have an overcast day today, kind of a little bit of a gray sky, but it's beautiful out on the river. It's very calm this morning, which is kind of nice. All right, this card is right here that we're giving a makeover to, and it's kind of not a great picture of the card because it's on an angle. I kind of wish they had photographed that a little bit, a fuller photograph, because it is actually a really beautiful card. But the idea is kind of to have the greeting in the center, and then you have some flowers and leaves tucked in behind it, maybe a little ribbon. There's a doily here. I didn't put a doily on my card. Some of you know I am a little bit doily challenged, so sometimes doilies do not make it onto my cards, but I don't know why. I have trouble with doilies still to this day. Do use them a little bit more now, but I'm still doily challenged. Okay, so that's the card that was the makeover card, and this is the card I made, and this is using Healing Hugs stamp set, and it is a new type of stamp that Stampin' Up has. It's called Distinctive. There's a few distinctive stamps in the catalog, and basically it is a photorealistic stamp. But what's different than some of the other ones is that this, it takes, you don't have to do a two-step process to get the photorealism of it. I don't know exactly how they do it, but it really makes this rose look realistic without having to do a two-step process to it. So I love that about this because in this card, there is 0 die cutting and all the stamping is done on the base of the card. You don't have to cut out any of these pieces. So it's kind of cool. I like this idea, and you could do this in different colors too. If you don't like purple, it's very easy because I did this wood grain on the background. You could substitute it out for red roses, yellow roses, pink roses, whatever. It's very easy to do the substitution because I kept everything else very neutral. So let's do this card and I'll show you how I made it. So let's start off by doing the big stamping piece. I've cut a piece of thick Whisper White to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And we're going to start off with the rose. And these are my colors I'm going to use. Don't you just love the new ink pads, how you can just like all stack them together? Let me line them up and stack them. Okay, so we're using Highland Heather for the rose, Granny Apple Green for the green. We're using our new color called Gray Granite for this floral piece right here. And then I'm coming in with Coastal Cabana for this center greeting here. And then in the background, I will actually be using some Pool Party, but I don't have that in the stack yet. So let's start off with the Highland Heather. Open it up. All right, so I'm just going to ink it up. Now with distinctive stamps, you're going to want to make sure your ink pad is not too juicy and not too dry. It's kind of like, you know, the Three Little Bears and Goldilocks. You have to make sure if you turn this over and there's beading of ink on your ink pad, then it will be too juicy and you're going to lose some of the detail. If it is too dry, you will also lose some of the detail. So I'm just kind of inking this up, and I'm going to stamp this down about 1/2 inch from the bottom and right along the right hand side. Just press that down, ink this up again. I'm going to do the same thing, kind of mirroring it up at the top. It's about 1/2 inch from the top and right against the left hand side. So let me just line that up. Actually, you know what? On my card, I did it about 1/4 inch. Let me see how that looks. I think it still looks good. So I'm going to keep it like that. But if you want to do it on your card, I just misjudged there a little bit, but I think it will still look fine. How about this? We'll see which one we like better after I stamp it. That's always a cool thing to do. Okay, so we're done with our purple. And now we need to bring in our little leaves and Granny Apple Green. And let's add those leaves. Oh, it might help if I had a little scrap piece of paper because I am going to be going off a little bit and I don't want to stamp on my surface. So let's just grab this and I'm going to run this right about there. And then this one I need to have come in. I'm going to have it come in right about there. And then this one's coming off the side. So let's add that right about there. Okay, I think everything else doesn't need to be stamped off the side, so I don't need to worry about my scrap piece of paper. Then one of our new colors called Gray Granite. And this little piece, I don't know what it is, maybe baby's breath, or it's just kind of a little floral-y piece. And I just want to add that right here. I know right now it doesn't look that great because I need this center piece right on top of it. That will make it look really nice. So right now it looks kind of wonky. But do not fear, I have a plan. I have a master plan to make it look good. All right, so, that's all the stamping, but we do have to do a little bit of sponging. So I've got my little sponge dauber. I've got it designated as Pool Party because I only like to use the sponge dauber in one color of ink. I don't like to, mix and match. So let me just open up my Pool Party. This is an old style ink pad. I am going through and replacing all my ink pads slowly. I'm doing it slowly so that I can afford to get other product in the meantime. If I had replaced all of them right at the beginning, I would have spent a lot of money doing the replacement. So I'm going through, I've got all my yellows, oranges, and pinks done. I've got all of the new colors that have come in, and then I'm kind of going through and doing it. My next group will be reds, then I'll do greens and blues. So I'm just kind of going through and doing it in little batches, so that I'm not spending a ton of money at a time. It's like with every order, I'm getting some new ink pads. That's always a good way to replace stuff. So in the meantime, I'll have a few older ink pads, but probably by the end of 2018, I'll have everything replaced. So, all right, so Pool Party sponge dauber. So here's the trick with the sponge dauber. I'm adding a little bit of blue in the background. Rather than doing a watercolor wash, I'm doing a dauber wash, so to speak. So how to get it so that you don't have a big dot of dauber. So you're going to ink it up and then push off twice or stamp off twice. Then very lightly to start off with, you're just going to do little circles right on the edge. Sorry, it's squeaky. I hope if that bothers your ears. It doesn't bother mine, but it might bother some. So twice, and then very lightly come along the edge. Okay. 1, 2, and I'm actually missing the center part because you know that there's going to be that greeting in the center, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, come along here, Okay, all right, that's basically it. Adding blue to the background. It still doesn't look great, does it? But we'll fix that in a second. One more thing we want to do is I distressed the edges a little bit because they were distressed in the original. So take a pair of scissors, maybe a pair of dull scissors, like a pair of scissors that you don't really care about, like something that you have laying around that's dull, and then just open them up, and then I like to just kind of run the edge of my scissors along the edge of the paper. It helps to do this with dull too, because maybe you won't cut yourself. You don't have to do this step. I just, it's kind of fun sometimes to distress things, and I'm just kind of showing how you can do this. Now, right here on the corners, it's a little harder, so you might want to come back and just kind of focus on the corners a little bit. Make sure you got them. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Now I have paper shrapnel. Okay, so I think we finally have the base layer all done. And then what we need to do still is we need to stamp the greeting. So I've got a piece of thick Whisper White again. This piece is 2 inches by 2.5 inches. Coastal Cabana, a nice returning color. And I need to get my greeting. I'm going to use the Get Well Soon because it fits really nicely on the center. You could do this with other greetings too. In fact, I think if you wanted to, I'd probably turn it this way. You could also do it like as a horizontal card too, if your greeting is more of the horizontal persuasion. And just ink that up. And I'm just going to make sure it's the right way. Just kind of center it. There. Okay. So now I think it's just about the assembly. So you're going to need a card base. I'm going to use gray granite because it's a nice new color. This is 11 inches by 4.25 inches, and I've scored it in half at the 5.5 inch mark. And then I've also taken a piece of, what's this paper called? Always forget. It's called Wood Textures Designer Series paper, and this is such a great neutral background paper that it actually carried over, which is very unusual for paper to do. They carried it over into this year as well because people loved it so much. It works really well with a whole ton of different stamping. So very good paper pack to get. I cut this one the same size as my card front. So that is 4.25 by 5.5 inches. I'm just going to take some snail. I like both sides of the pattern, but I'm going to kind of go with this mellower, lighter pattern. Let's turn this around. And I'm just going to add this to the front of my card. Okay. And then we're going to take this piece and add it to the front as well. And because this is a little bit heavier, it's going to have more stuff on it, I'm going to use some Tombow. I switch adhesive so much. I have my favorite adhesive for every little thing. So this one just needs to be centered on here. I really like that distressing. It really looks nice with this card, with that wood texture in the background. Can you see that? It just looks really nice. Okay, and then we need to add that greeting. And I'm going to use some dimensionals for that. Just pop it up a little bit. Okay, someone taught me a tip, and I haven't actually used this, but someone said you could use your paper piercing tool to remove the dimensionals. So I'm just going to try that. Oh, that's kind of cool. I need to maybe practice it. I got 2 on there. One more. Yep, that's number 3. And there's number 4. Very cool tip that someone shared with me this week on removing the backings with your paper piercing tool. That went a lot faster. Maybe with a little practice, I'll get the stabbing and lifting all effortless, and it will just look like I'm magic, right? But isn't that cool? Someone showed me that paper piercing tool is one of my favorite little tools to have. So then we're just going to, you know what I did? I did it in reverse. That's weird. Okay, so I made a little mistake, but it's okay. I wanted this piece to be reversed, and I've kind of got it going the opposite way, but it's all okay, because the only thing that I'm not going to love so much about it is if I had done it this way, then my bow looks nicer down here, but I've done it reverse right now. I should have had this the opposite way. So if you're doing this at home and you want to copy my card, don't do it this way. Keep your focal point going the other way. I might just scoot this up just a little bit because I did that. Okay. So then we're going to add a couple more things onto the card. I want to add a little bow. This is with a metallic edge ribbon. Let me see which way I like this best. That looks good. I will need a mini glue dot. And I'm just sticking the knot on the dot. Haha, rhyming. And then I'm going to stick this down here. Okay, my bow is like a little bit of a rebel bow this morning. Okay. Sometimes you have to pin down your little ribbon ends with a glue dot too if they're being rebel and you don't like the way they look. Hey, I actually don't mind that it's the other way around. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, well, we'll do a side-by-side comparison in a moment. I've also wanted to add some sequins. So how do I do that? We're getting a new tool in the holiday catalog, but we don't have that yet. So I'm going to show you how I usually pick up sequins. So I take my paper piercing tool and I kind of dip it in to the Tombow, getting just a little bit of glue on the tip of my paper piercing tool. I'm going to put a couple of dots down here of glue where I want sequins and one up here. And then I'm going to grab a sequin, kind of grab 2, and I'm going to just pop it down onto my little glue dot. And then I'm going to use the back of my paper piercing tool to press it down. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to fish again. I like certain colors. I'm kind of picky. Let's take one of these and stick it down here and do the glue dot. I'm going to just clean off the bottom because it gets a little bit of glue on it. And now I want kind of a green colored one. Green colored one. Okay, here's one. Yeah, let me just turn this around. Okay, and then stick that on there. Press it down. I only press it down once because if you press it down a second time, it wants to stick to the bottom of your thing. And then let me just pick these up and put them back. I'm going off camera, sorry guys. Just don't want to lose my little sequence. Okay, and so there is the card. There's one more sequin. Let's move it off. Wow. So, okay, I don't know which one I like better. So I've got the roses reversed on this one accidentally, but I actually kind of like the way the things kind of come out the side. It actually doesn't look too bad. And what else did I change? Oh, the roses. They were a little bit closer to the center rather than closer to the edge. So I don't know. I kind of like both cards. They both have a little bit of a different look to them, but they're both kind of cute. So let me scroll and see if there's any questions. you know, you guys should ask me some questions and make me do a little work, right? Haha. All right, no questions. That is perfectly acceptable. You don't have to ask me questions, but let me just turn the camera around. Okay, so here is my challenge for you guys. So you saw me make this card, and I think there are a lot of different stamp sets that you could do something similar with this. So, you know, you've got a stamp set that has a greeting in the center. You can stamp it, and then you've got some things you could stamp in the background. Maybe get even more creative. I did flowers, but I bet you there's some other things that would look nice in the background too. You know, those hot air balloons that we have, those are really cute too. I'm trying to think, what else could you do in the background? Maybe leaves. Leaves would be nice for going into fall. So be creative. And then what I want you to do is make your card, take a photo of it, and then post it to the Casing Tuesday Facebook group on our challenge thread so that we can comment on it. And that way we can share our designs with each other. If you really liked this card and you have the stamp set, go ahead and copy me, copy me exactly. And I want to see how your card turned out. So don't feel like, oh, she already did that. I'd love it if you would share your card with me. In fact, I'd be flattered if you made the card the exact same way if you thought that, you know, that was cool. So, you know, go ahead and have fun with it and then share it with us on our Facebook group. And it's really cool because we have some other bloggers that are doing the same card each week. And so you can see all the different ways you can use that layout with different stamp sets. Usually we have quite a few different stamp sets represented. So that will also give you some ideas if you're kind of stuck. Hey, I don't know which stamp set to use. Maybe you'll get some inspiration from one of our other bloggers. So anyway, that is it for this week. I'm so glad that you joined me. Listen, if there's any thing that you need to know, there's different ways to contact me below on my blog. And if you want to do the BOGO sale, that's also on my blog. Joining the Facebook group, there's a link down below. So there's all the information you need to click on below. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will be back here next Tuesday at 10 a.m. to share another card with you. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.